Okay, we are going to continue looking at where we have a tangent and a secant or a chord intersecting with their vertex on the circle. And so looking at the angle here is going to be half the measure of the intercepted arc. So the angle 1 here has a measure that's half of the arc AB, and then angle 2 is going to have a measure that's half of this major arc BCA there. So we're going to look at the back and do some practice problems. Find the measure of the arc or angle indicated. So wherever we have the little question mark, that's what we're looking for. So the first problem, I can see that this arc, which is arc KL, has a measure of 148 degrees, and we're looking for the measure of this angle. So we're being asked to find the measure of angle KLM. KLM. And we know that this angle should be half of the measure of the entire arc. So it should be half of 148 degrees, and half of 148 degrees is 74 degrees. So that would be our answer. On number 2, you're given the measure of angle QRS here. So that's going to be 35 degrees. And we're looking for, we're looking for this right here. We're looking for the arc. So we want to find what the measure is of this arc. So the measure of arc RS is what we're being asked to find. And I know that this arc's measure should be double that of this angle. So we would want to take 2 and multiply it by 35 degrees. So that would be 70 degrees. So our missing arc measure is 70 degrees. Number 3, 250 degrees is the measure of this major arc here. We're looking to find the measure of this angle JKL. So in order to find this angle, it's going to be important that we have this arc over here, JK. So the measure of arc JK we can get by taking the total angle measurement around a circle is 360 degrees. So if we take away 250 from that, that's going to be 110 degrees. So this arc JK is 110 degrees, and we know that the measure of the angle JKL should equal half of that. So half of 110 degrees is 55 degrees. So that would be our missing measure. And then over here, I can see that in this case, the 54 degrees is the measure of angle FGH, and we're looking for this arc measure over here. So let's first talk about what this arc measure GH would be. I know that the measure of arc GH should be 2 times the measure of this angle FGH. So 2 times 54 degrees is 108 degrees. So this arc GH being 108 degrees, we can find our question mark there by taking 360 degrees all the way around the circle and subtracting 108 degrees. So our answer there would be 252 degrees for that missing major arc measurement there. Now the questions can get a little bit more complex where you might have a variable that you're looking to solve. So let's take a look at that. Solve for x, assume that lines that appear to be tangent are in fact tangent. So here we can see that our angle GFE, this angle, has a measure of 3x plus 14, whereas this arc, the major arc here, has a measure of 21x plus 8. So in order to work with this, since we have an angle and an arc, it would be easiest if we could talk about both this arc and this arc FE, in addition to this arc, because together they would be 360 degrees. So let's first talk about the measure of arc FE, which is, I'm looking for this arc right here. This is what I'm talking about. So if I wanted to find that, I know it should be twice the measure of the angle, which is 3x plus 14. So twice that, I could just distribute the 2. 2 times 3x is 6x, and 2 times 14 is 28. So this arc measure is 6x plus 28. So both of these arcs, the 6x plus 28 and the 21x plus 8, total should equal 360. So we can write an equation and solve. Add those together, set it equal to 360. 6x and 21x is 27x. 28 plus 8 is 36. And that should be set equal to 360. If I take 36 away from both sides, we would have 27x equals 324. And dividing both sides by 27, we come up with x equals 12. Let's check over here. Again, we're given an angle measurement. In this case, we're given angle EFG is 16 plus 6x. But in this case, we're also given the intercepted arc, EF, and we're told that that's 140 degrees. So what we know is that this angle measurement is half of this entire arc over here. So we could say that 16 plus 6x should equal half of the intercepted arc, 140 degrees, which means 16 plus 6x equals 70, since that's half of 140. We could take 16 away from each side. 70 minus 16 is 54. Divide both sides by 6, and therefore x equals 9. Number 7, we're given the angle DCB, and that has a measure of 7x plus 5. And this arc measure over here is 280 degrees. There's a couple of ways to do this, but what I would prefer to do is work with, if I have this angle, I'd like to figure out what this intercepted arc is, because I know the relationship between the two. So that intercepted arc we can get by taking 360 degrees and subtracting this arc measure of 280 degrees. 360 minus 280 is 80 degrees. So the measure of arc CB is 80 degrees. So what we know then is that this angle here is equal to half of this arc measure. So 7x plus 5 is equal to half the measure of the arc, 80 degrees. So 7x plus 5 is equivalent to 40 degrees. Taking away 5, we would get 7x equals 35, and therefore x equals 5. In our last problem, we're given the measure of angle SRQ is 7x plus 4, and the arc over here is equivalent to 15x plus 20. So again, if I can figure out the measure of this arc, RQ, then I know if I added it to this arc, it should be a total of 360 degrees. So if I want the measure of arc QR or RQ, I know that is 2 times the measure of angle QRS. So 2 times 7x minus 4, which I know would be 14x minus 8. So this here would be 14x minus 8. So if I add 15x plus 20 and 14x minus 8, that should equal 360. Whoops, no. That would be plus 14x minus 8 equals 360. 15x and 14x is 29x. 20 minus 8 is a positive 12. So 29x, if we take 12 away from both sides, that's going to be 348. And dividing both sides by 29, you would get x equals 12. At this point, hopefully you're feeling a little bit better with this. There is an extra practice for you that you are welcome to do from Schoology on your own notebook paper and check with the answers that I have there, and then you have a skills check to complete.